how difficult it is. So what I figured out is three negative emotions: fear, hatred, and jealousy are the three things which keeps one from being great. Otherwise, every soul which is born unique is a unique soul uh, for throughout his or her life. So this how to handle this fear, jealousy, and hatred. Uh, the let's say for a moment one can think about having a different kind of feeling, uh, not about deprivation but about achieving something. So when the achievement feeling comes, then mm, then all other negative emotions tend to go. One feels very profound and very positive. Fear comes from the insecurity of not being able to achieve something. So why one is not achieving something for quite some time? So that is how the depression happens, and fear tend to happen, and then one starts to blame somebody. Uh, and that is how hatred comes. Somebody a bit more successful becomes a person whom to blame, and who becomes responsible for our failure, right? So this is wasteful activities where the energy goes. So redirecting the energy towards something positive takes a bit of practice, and that practice actually is part of my performance optimization course, which I give online, but also I give a weekly counseling for that, because I believe that everybody comes from a different background and is now at a different circumstance as well. And each one is dealing with a little bit different kind of emotions, uh, of self, also of the people around. And although it is a very simple thing of categorizing all our emotions into just a few number of positive or negative vibrations, still there is lot of variance, because the stories that we keep on reading are all basically of the same emotions, but see how many permutations and combinations we make out of that, and each one wants a bit of clue out of these stories as to how to handle his or her own story at that particular moment. What happens is, uh, suppose the clue becomes a bit contrary to what one is thinking, then that one tends to just uh, avoid that taking that responsibility that this kind of action is happening inside. Or even if one takes that responsibility, the burden of uh, dwelling with the negative emotion is so much that it adds on to the already negative mindset that is already there. So one may need some power also to get out of that negative emotion, and it requires hand holding, of course. And the spontaneous expression that one comes out with is not always good to listen to, but still, if if that can be hard out, somebody is saying and somebody else is listening it out with empathy, then that energy is passed off, like say it can be it is disseminated already, and the person is feeling good, relieved. That is how telling somebody about your own burden helps you relieve your anxiety, your stress, leading to fear and all negative emotions. But all the time we cannot do that, so that needs practice. Suppose this is a recurring pattern happening inside one, all of us face that recurring patterns sometime or other, so it is nothing to be feeling very degraded about. So when these recurring pattern happens, one needs to know that there is a fear, a burden somewhere which is still being carried. Unless we give out that past baggage and the thought process along with it, this will continue to appear in our life. There will be one after other occurrences, events, incidences, and reactions from people, which will lead us to uh, the same negative emotions that we face usually recurringly. So to give out these things, these negative emotions, there is a simple practice, simple exercise of writing it down. Journaling happens when one gives out, tells the journal about the what the entire feeling is all about. So that is how maybe the big stories and big epics have come out. And since at the end of that story something positive happens, because writing it down ultimately leads to something very positive. One can see the inside about why this incident is happening. So that is how a big classic is made out of just writing down in a journal. We never know how those stories have come about, but certainly those have been part of a journal. Because the story writer might be living the same character within himself or herself. So we can also, in the verge of, like, say, writing out the entire thing in a journal, we also are creating something. Also, the positive thing also is happening. Also, in if it is written in a certain kind of order, like say expecting, probing, and giving away, uh, putting it into a particular framework, it all helps to transition from one emotion to the other. And ultimately from very low emotions it can go up and up and up, and ultimately it becomes a it definitely, even if it doesn't happen in just one go, one sitting, but definitely in one go, with a systematic writing and systematic thought process, because writing helps the thought process to streamline. And when this streamlining happens, ultimately one reaches to a position where one feels better than what one was feeling. At least he gets to analyze his own emotions better. And if there is dependence in that entire exercise on somebody else to behave differently, that dependence also uh, just vanishes. That dependence is the worst thing which actually keeps us from getting feeling better. So if that is given out in a journal, writing in a systematic manner, which is here mentioned in a very systematic manner, how it has to be done, and it is part of a performance optimization thing. Nobody remembers all the points that I have written systematically, even I don't do. But when I have, like, say, over time I have been perfecting this, and many people have told this repeatedly, and might be the same thing will resonate with you and you will feel better. And this is one trick with which one can handle oneself better. And one can start the next day with a very hugely positive energy. But suppose you don't know how to do it yourself, then this course mine helps you practice do, these exercises, uh, and it helps to outgrow from that negative mindset and grow into a positive mindset ultimately. So every day one is advised to read Bhagavad Gita and the Holy Quran and the Bible every day, right? The reason being, there has to be some practice. Every day the same script will give you some other meaning. So it is good to have to be in that practice, either by reading Bible, Quran, or everything, or just by going through anything. But if one wants to be very systematic, and I talk about being in the workplace situation, so one can go through my course, and it is there, and the link, or else one can DM me to get the link of this course, or get to the link and enroll oneself automatically and get into the course. That is how it is done. Thank you.